In this video, I'm going to explain how you can use a graded exposure towards an activity that might frustrate you, that is so simple but it triggers your pain. So we're going to do it for sitting, or you can apply it for walking. Simple approach, logical approach, not an emotional one, a logical approach to address something that is natural and normal for someone to be able to do. And if you're having difficulty with this, watch the process, see if it makes sense, and you can apply it to anything. Okay, so there's a couple of people mentioned, how do I change the pain I get with sitting or walking? Let's accept that these are long-term problems, sitting and walking, in people that are of an age that we would expect them to be able to do this. So for example, if I said to you I can't sit for more than 1 minute, and I've had this for a year or two, that'd be a bit strange, wouldn't it? You know, as soon as I sit down it hurts for a minute or 2 or 3 or 10. It's a disproportionate response to the stimulus. Okay, if it was walking, I said, oh, I can't walk around the block, I can't walk 100 meters, it hurts me. You'd be thinking, what has caused that? What's going on? Well, firstly, we know there's no acute cause to it, so there's no current damage to explain that within 3 months. Okay, we know that there's no obvious overload to explain that in the last 3 months. If I said to you, I dug the garden few days ago and it was moving 2 ton of topsoil from the front of the house to the back because we were getting an extension and needed to get it done, I didn't feel a thing at the time, but since then it's hurt when I sit. It has meaning. Okay, it has meaning. If I said to you I walked up Ben Nevis, then I did the 3 peaks and I was raising money for charity and I didn't get any sleep and I did it non-stop, and now when I walk around the block a couple of weeks after that, it hurts. We've got some meaning to it. Injury or overload explains the pain we've got, so we've got meaning. When you don't have that meaning, it puzzles the person who has the pain, it puzzles the people who they present it to. They go looking at the structure and say, well, your back's a funny shape and your feet are flat-footed and I think your hair's too long and your granny's name was Margaret and maybe that's the cause of it. We look for anything that isn't the truth, desperately trying to get control, but it's an internal trigger that's actually generating the pain, not external. It's not the sitting, it's not the walking. That's relevant, that's where the pain appears, but the body has become conditioned to those environments. At a time in someone's life that someone pushed really hard, they'll have been going through another situation in their life with uncertainty and they haven't got the information for it, they don't have the sense of control that they love. These people love control, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love control. There's not a person who comes to me or walks through the clinic door that doesn't want control of the pain. It's normal. We need certainty, we need the information, we need a sense of control. It gives us, and that comes from getting the meaning behind the pain. So if you take walking or sitting, and maybe recognise it came at the time someone was going through a divorce or fighting cancer or concerned about losing the job or felt the pressure of a changed situation. They don't need to have even acknowledged that now, right? It doesn't matter. I can't find anything, there's nothing there, my life's perfect, there was nothing going wrong. I hear this loads. They're just in denial, basically, that there was something going on. It frustrates them to not know, because their safe place is knowing stuff, and actually they don't know how to help themselves. Well, that's a vulnerable place, they don't like that vulnerability, they just push. That sense of pain means they'll just try, and these people push through pain. Push through, but I push through pain. It's probably the biggest achievements in life, greatest pleasures I've ever experienced, but it's brought me to the closest sense of danger I've ever experienced, and that's not really in a physical danger. It's kind of challenged the relationships I've had, it's threatened some of the connections I've had through an irrational desire to push through. So this behaviour has to be celebrated but managed. And when you go to sit or walk, the behaviours that trigger pain are the intensities around it, the anticipation of pain, the fear of it, the frustration that you can't do it, and the pushing through despite it, what the body's telling you. So you have to decide, can I have a calm thought when I go to sit? Can I regulate my breathing when I go to sit or walk, whichever it is you're going to do? Can I move physically in a way that represents calmness? And can the emotions that appear in this moment be calm, kind, caring, loving to the organism that's exposing itself to this perceived threat? Think, breathe, move, feel. Can I do it? And someone asked, could I go for a minute? How beautiful. So sitting for a minute couldn't possibly damage someone. That means that if the body's feeling pain, it means that it thinks there's danger when there isn't. Because there was danger in the past as the person pushed through whatever activity they were doing in the sitting position. Or the sitting position represents another 10 hours at work when it's only 1 minute sitting. Or the walk just represents it's a walk around the block, but it might represent you being on your feet for 10 hours a day for 6 weeks on end, delivering for other people in some kind of way that's over exposing yourself to the threats in life. That means that disease or destruction or injury can appear, and pain is your guiding factor. And if you've not listened to that long enough in the past with the right interpretation, and then go a bit further back in time and you'll find a model of someone who actually fears pain or pushes through it that we copy, then you got the misinterpretation, you got the interpretation wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. You didn't do it on purpose. You were acting instinctually. So in the presence of pain on sitting or walking, you're going to act differently, right? Differently. You've got to change. You might not like change, it'll feel unfamiliar. You might not want to park in a different parking space. I don't care. You want to change. You want the result, you've got to change. Change the thought process, change the breathing pattern, change your physical representation of that moment, and change the emotion. If it's too much to do 1 minute or one minute sitting or 1 minute walking, you visualize it. Okay, you see yourself going into the chair, imagine it and notice where you feel it. Breathe through the sensation, because you actually know you're not sitting and you know you're not walking, but you're getting used to the breathing pattern before you expose yourself to the threat, right? That isn't a real threat, it's a prediction. You're telling yourself this is safe, this couldn't injure a lady my age, a man my age, right? And if my body feels pain, I'm not going to push through that. I'm going to respect it. I'm not going to be frustrated by it. I'm just going to move and stand up, or I'm just going to shorten the walk next time. And when I come back in from the walk, whenever I get home, I know I haven't been damaged, and I'm going to do something that calms the nervous system. That might be breathing again. It might be some calm words for myself. It might be relaxing another part of the body, symbolising you attending to yourself. And the emotional charge attached to them is caring, it's kind, it's loving, it's setting a safe boundary to respect the nervous system's current reaction to what is not a dangerous thing. You have to be patient with your nervous system. You're the one that set the scene for it for years on end, probably. You, not me. It's not your fault. There's no blame in this. You're responsible for it. Totally responsible. Nobody else is to blame, and that includes you. But if you are starting to do something, you're really going to make a commitment, or you're not. Doesn't matter either way. You're going to suffer either way. The pain will last longer, but the pain of pushing through change is painful. You've got to decide which one is less. But you don't need to keep suffering if you're prepared to go through the change, because the nervous system's resistance to this change. I'm going to sit in the chair, it's going to hurt. It's okay, it's not dangerous. I feel myself breathing faster. It's okay, just breathe slowly. I feel myself tensing up. Okay, well, we're going to just relax the shoulders. We're going to walk slower. We're going to get up from the chair. There's no damage, there's no danger. Listen to the calm voice. Listen to the emotional charge that reflects each voice that dominates and has done for so long to drive pain. You have to have these mechanisms set before you go and do it. And it's like training. If you watch some of the other videos I've tagged about people training dogs, well, that's the part of the brain where pain sits, right? It's not in the conscious thought. You don't think, I'm going to get some pain in a moment, trigger the pain. You simply place yourself on a point of focus and your body will follow. And it's so fast that the pain's there often before you've even had the conscious thought, it's much faster firing. So anticipating the pain, I'm going to sit in the chair, it's going to hurt. I'm going to go for a walk, it's going to hurt. Why does it always hurt? It does my head in. You're already in the behaviour, it's driving the pain again. Wait until you are totally calm. It might be a time of day, it might be a time of week, it might be imagination. Some people imagine the pain, it hurts, I can't believe it. Stop. Do it again. Wait until you're calm. Put your shoes on, see what your body does. Go out the front door, see what your body does. Walk around the block, halfway around the block, watch what your body does. Notice what you feel, not out of fear, not out of frustration. It mustn't trigger fear or frustration. If it does, you have to have something ready to calm that sense of emotional charge that is driving the pain in that context, so that you can experience the context in your life, sitting or standing, without it triggering fear, frustration, anger, resentment, regret, or anything else, because that emotion is weighed to that pain. It isn't the position that's that relevant. That simply triggers the emotional charge, and then that triggers the pain, and what we do is associate the pain to the chair, and then create a belief as to why the pain's linked to the chair. And it'll say, I've got a bad back, or it's my age, or my this, or my that. And then you're shown a different way to consider, yeah, but what about my discs? Yeah, what about me flat feet? There's a point at which you have to stop. And feel the frustration. I've felt it before. I feel it regularly. Things in life, you have to learn that there's no point pushing through and overcoming it. If it's a cup final, yeah. If it's an argument you have to deal with, good. If it's a presentation, do it. But you can't live there. And the pain being so persistent and so reactive means you're still living there. So you have to decide where you're going to do something less. You have to make the change if you want to experience change. You can do it. Watch this video a couple of times if you want to. Be your own coach. Join a group, ask questions, but don't keep asking questions without taking action. Take small steps, a small thought, a small breathing pattern, a small movement, a small emotional expression in the context of the place you might feel the pain or do feel the pain, and practice it before you do it. See if you can practice it as you're doing it, just so before the pain appears, and let it appear until it's just enough so you can sense that without triggering fear or frustration. Here it is, I can feel that sensation as I'm walking, I notice my pain, as I'm sitting I'm noticing it a bit, and you stop at that point and you go somewhere else to allow the nervous system to calm down, and it's demonstrating back to yourself that you are in control, but you're using calm controlling mechanisms that don't overload the system to calm that nervous system down. And once you start to respond, I had a conversation with my wife this morning. I said, it's going to help to turn the kettle off before it starts to boil. She liked that one. She doesn't like a lot of what I say. Whose partner does? But if you can sense the build up and flip it a long way before you'd ever usually attend to yourself, the brain will be, what are they doing? But they'll start to like the feeling that comes with attending to yourself before it gets to that point. So before the thoughts get intense, before the breathing gets faster and shallower, before the muscles get so tense, and before the emotional is fear, frustration, if you attended to yourself a long way before. It doesn't matter whether it's a minute or 5 or 10, it doesn't matter what the activity is, you mix and match both. You calm yourself before. You stay calm during, as the body's starting to become exposed to the potential threat that isn't real. It's anxiety, essentially. Allow yourself to feel it to the point where you're maintaining control long before the kettle's going to boil. And then you come down from that at the end of the event and you've done the activity successfully. You are rewarding the calm intent, not the outcome. You are rewarding the calm intent. That's the motivation, that's the dopamine, that's going to motivate the brain in the next time you sit or you walk to stay calm, because you know it'll feel warm and kind of cozy to have succeeded in an activity where the old behaviours temporarily of pushing through them never lasted and never will. It's a process. It's a process of practice, calmness, like brushing your teeth every day, but you actually start to feel the emotions that you'd normally run from. You start to feel the tension you normally fight with. You start to see the thoughts in your head that you step away from enough and can kind of not follow. And the emotions that we always fall into, you observe them, allow them to be, and you stay with them, and they start to fade. And you'll find you can sit, you can walk, and you can condition yourself to go wherever you want with those activities that's respectful of your height and your age and your weight and your physical conditioning. That is normal for a person, whatever normal is, within an age range and musculoskeletal capability. That's sensible. And if you want to go beyond that, then you condition the body to do it just like anybody else would. I hope that's helpful. I don't mean to be kind of assertive in a way that's threatening to you, but if you haven't got changed this point, and people have dilly-dallied around you, maybe humoured you, it's time maybe to take a bit more focus and ask yourself, how much do you want to change? Because if you want to change, you'll change when you're ready, and then follow the process to do it.